We have a high sign. Are you ready? Okay, I do have 6 o'clock, so I'd like to call our meeting to order if we could, please. First up, we'll look for additions and deletions to the agenda. Does anyone have anything? I think Sarah did hand out one, and I have a couple other items that I would like to add. The first one that Sarah handed out was G3, consideration of a resolution to approve a traffic control order number 159 to place no parking signs on the south side of Iowa Street from Falkirk Road to Charles Avenue. And then under M, new business, I would like to add an item to establish a board to review blight and enforcement issues and then make recommendations back to the city commission. And item 2, which I think is wrong, I think it should be items new business. It should be 3 and 4 instead of 1 and 2. So item 3 should be the committee to review blight and enforcement issues. And item 4 would be to talk about the discontinuing the attendance of the city attorney at our regular meetings and dedicate that cost savings toward blight enforcement issues. Any other additions, deletions, or questions about the agenda? Hearing none, we'll entertain a motion to accept the agenda as amended.
So moved.
Support? A motion support. Last chance for comments or questions. All those in favor say yes.
Yes.
Any opposed, no. Motion is carried, and we have an agenda. Thank you very much. Moving down the line, is roll been taken?
Yes, thank you.
We have roll. Next up is Pledge of Allegiance. If everyone would please rise and join us in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, thank you very much. And welcome, Roxanne.
Thank you.
Okay. Our next item would be to entertain a motion to approve the minutes of the August 22nd, 2023 regular meeting of this board. Your pleasure?
So moved.
Support.
We have a motion support. Are there any additions, corrections, deletions, anything of that nature? Hearing none. All those in favor say yes.
Yes.
Any opposed say no. Motion is carried. We approve the minutes. Communications. First up, we have communication from Mr. Les Roseanne regarding blight and safety concerns. Mr. Roseanne, would you like to go to the podium and share your thoughts, please?
Les Roseanne, 889 Mill Street, Arizona. I did submit a letter to the commission. I believe you got that in your packet. I don't think you got the crock pot recipe that was sent to Sarah inadvertently, but
Darn.
it wasn't a bad recipe. Anyway, it was in the spring. I was approached by Chris Maltby at the bike shop. He said, can you do anything on this? I said, what? He says, that fire hydrant out there, it's new. And he says there's cars there all day long. Some of them are there all night long. They apparently live in apartments above the hotel. And so I'll see what I can do. Well, I've been taking pictures of that since he mentioned it. And I didn't, obviously not camped out over there, but I bicycle and I ride and go different places and in the car. So anytime I was out and about, I would stop and check. And about 75–80% of the time there was a car parked there. So in beginning to draft the letter, I decided, well, I'll see if there's anything done on this as far as the city. Filed a FOIA request looking for citations and or warnings that may have been issued for that particular fire hydrant directly in front of the bicycle shop. And from January until whenever that was submitted, September 15th, something on that line. Oh, no, excuse me. 0. The issue, I think, is that fire hydrant is new, and I think it's part of the water main replacement that was put in there partially because of the construction of the hotel. The state law, I cannot find where it requires a signage or pavement markings, but without it, I mean, it's not a real tall fire hydrant, and people, if they're coming and looking at the barber shop to see if there's anybody in there, they may not even realize the thing is there. It's the only one I found in the downtown area that's in the middle of a business block. Most of them are on the corners, so the water lines go both ways. So I suggested in the letter that to facilitate people not getting tickets and to resolve an issue that because of the fires we've had downtown and more people moving into the upstairs areas, that something similar to what's in front of the Strand Theater with a sign here, and it says no parking between signs, and then mark the 15 feet each side of the fire hydrant. That's 30 feet. And I suggested it be done in red, and this could be used as a positive thing because there are more people moving in downtown. There will be with the development. And it might not be a bad idea to kind of take a survey and see if the other hydrants could be marked better. I did go through St. Louis, Shepherd, Ithaca. St. Louis is only one. They do a lot of yellow on curbs at the intersections. And there is one by City Hall, there is a fire hydrant, and they've got a yellow curb. So it's pretty obvious you're not supposed to park there. And I just would strongly encourage that. And you could start it by publicizing it, that it's there, maybe give warnings for a short period of time before any citations. But I think if it was adequately marked and signed, which is not prohibited by the statute, even though it's not required, would alleviate that problem. And I think it's just a better image that is being ignored. And the people are going into the bike shop and to the dance studio and bragging that they can park there. Because nobody can find a place to park on State Street because the parking lot in the back is, oh, I found a place. So I think it's a problem that's fairly easily solved, but I wouldn't want to be in a situation where I had to defend why it wasn't solved. So that's the issue with the fire hydrant. The other one was the building, and I don't even know who owns it, and I don't know what it was. It's that big monstrosity of a building off of Court Street, kitty corner from the library. And I had brought that to the attention of the board a couple months ago. The corner of the building, sheet metal, I guess, for the outside siding, that's gone. It's probably about 6 feet wide, and it's wide open. And the building itself is disintegrating. There's piles of bricks. I see pictures there. Piles of bricks on the ground. Bricks are just teetering on the edge. So if any, it meets the standards by definition of a dangerous building in the fact that it's open, number one, and that parts of the building are falling. So I'd like to see something done with that. That's the last you're going to hear from me on that subject because I'm notifying you that I think it's an issue and I've documented it, and it's up to whoever is in charge of that to maybe look about getting something done. I'm glad to hear you're going to start a committee to address these issues, and I would like to suggest that the code enforcement reports resume showing up on your agenda. They used to be in there. You had a police report, you had all the police activity, and then you had a report from the code. And those disappeared, and I don't know what happened to them. But it was nice that Eric had, in the last meeting, you presented the thing about the ongoing, you know, and I think that's just something that should be out there because people don't know. They just see that nothing's being done. Nothing's being done. So I understand that it's not an easy process sometimes, especially with certain clientele that just they're not going to be swayed by just asking them to fix something. So that's where the money issue comes in, I guess. But I would like to see that come back into the agenda packet so that we have a better understanding of that. And I do have 2 years of pictures. If you have a committee, I won't be here for 6 months, but I'm willing to give them to a thumb drive or whatever to whoever wants it. Because there's a lot of stuff in there that I haven't brought up here, but it's 2 years worth of stuff. Any questions?
We appreciate it. And any further information, if you've got a thumb drive or something, we appreciate that. We can make sure the committee sees it and, if it's a dangerous building, I think it seems like we could address that fairly simply. We've done that with other buildings, you just make sure they're secure. You can, snow fence is not that costly. It doesn't take that much to do. Can we see if we can do something like that?
I'll reach out to the building official.
Keep people.
Was that the old sugar plant, sugar?
Yes, I believe that's part of the old
Yeah.
Sugar Beet
Yeah.
complex.
And is that owned, not owned by the city, is it?
I believe it's owned by Elm Product.
Okay, it's right above.
AID doesn't own that then?
No, I don't believe so. I don't believe so.
Okay.
I don't believe so.
Yeah, I guess, I don't know for sure who owns it, but,
Okay, all right, thank you.
all right, thank you.
Thank you, Les.
Appreciate the presentation and information.
Move to receive.
Support.
Okay, we have more support. Any more comments, questions? Hearing none, all those in favor say yes.
Yes.
Any opposed, no. Motion is carried. We've received a report. Thank you, Les. Moving on to request for purchase. We are to consider a resolution to approve a request for purchase to DBI Interiors in the amount of $35,240.41 for the purchase, delivery, and installation of office furniture for 3 offices, a lobby, and a common area at the Alma Transit Center. Your pleasure.
Move to approve.
Support.
Motion support. You want to give us a little color while we're doing this again?
Yep, sure thing,
For the
yep.
camera?
Yep, we did do this back on June 27th, as the mayor mentioned here. That bid was, we did receive 3 quotes. The low quote was from the My Deal program, which was DBI Interiors. When that was sent back in of our approval and acceptance of that My Deal program, we were told that underneath the MDOT Federal Transportation Administration procurement guidelines that we're not able to use the My Deal price as one of the quotes. So the directors resent the quotes out for please send more. So we received 3 more, and the low bid was for $35,240.41 from DBI, who was the low bid with the My Deal program, but it did cost. This is nothing out of our funds here locally. These are the federal funds coming in for specifically furniture and amenities within the building. So it has to be used for this, but it's sad to think that we had to spend an extra $2,000 and some time to redo this. So that's why it's before you again.
The question of the one that's online that we have says 33,879, and the one in front of me says 35,240. The amount on it.
The 33,879 was what it was before.
Okay,
Was the original.
but that's what it says on this copy. On the.
Sorry.
Agree with this one thing, Greg?
I thought it was. I just pulled this down today from the website.
Oh, that's just letting you know what was approved back in June 27th.
Oh, okay, all right.
Yeah, but no, the new amount is for
Okay.
$35,240.41.
All right, I just want there to be 2 of them.
No,
and
no.
questions, which it was. Okay.
No.
Okay, so just for clarity, the actual new amount is $35,240.41.
That's correct.
Okay. I believe we had a motion, support on the table. Any additional comments or questions? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say yes.
Yes.
Any opposed, no. Motion is carried, and we bought furniture again. Go forth. Well, hopefully not revisit this anymore. Moving to resolutions. First up, we consider a resolution of support in joining a collaborative agreement pursuant to Article 2, Section 4M of the Michigan Constitution of 1963 and Michigan election law for a countywide joint early voting center, which is to be hosted by the Gratiot County Clerk and including Gratiot County local clerks and units, and also to authorize the clerk, Sarah Anderson, to sign the agreement for the election services with the Gratiot County Clerk on behalf of the city of Alma. Your pleasure on this rather lengthy item.
Move to adopt. Support.
Okay, we have a motion to support. Did you want to give some color, or do you want Sarah to give us?
I will let Sarah, because this actually is a very complicated issue, and the clerks and the county clerk, Angie Thompson, have been working very vigilantly on this to find a way to do this as economically and as painless as possible for all those involved. A lot of the clerks around the county they don't do this full time either, so trying to find a way to get this done. So anything else you want to add?
I don't know that there is anything else I need to add, Eric, other than There's a lot of reasons. There's security reasons, there's
Staffing issues,
financial,
certainly, yes.
staffing issues, there's election inspectors trying to locate enough people to work. There's a lot of different factors involved, plus the equipment. There's
And the whole purpose behind it, if I understand this correctly, correct me if I'm wrong, but it's to accommodate the new regulations which provide, I think it was a voter-approved initiative, to provide additional early voting opportunities for citizens. Is that
correct.
a fair statement?
Proposal 22
Okay.
that was approved in November of 2022 requires us to provide the early voting center.
Okay.
9 days of early voting, 9 consecutive days of early voting.
And I know initially we were worried we were going to have to staff this and have all the inspectors and everything for each of our individual units. The law does allow us to do this collectively for a countywide basis on the early portion. My understanding is we will still have our regular voting day, we'll have our precincts as we always do. This is strictly to allow for additional opportunities for early voting, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
This has in no way affects absentee voting, correct? Has nothing to do with
It does
absentee
not.
voting?
It
Okay.
does not. At some point, they're working on a bill that will allow people to request an absentee ballot. It hasn't been approved yet, but they'll be able to request an absentee ballot and take it to the early voting center and tabulate it themselves.
Oh, okay.
But there's a lot of complications with that. And
Yeah.
the system doesn't allow it right now, so, but it is coming in the future.
Hold on.
It is coming.
Wait for it.
Just when you figure this one out, add some other layer to it.
So there's only going to be one location
For the county.
for all,
Everybody in Gratiot County.
for early voting?
Yes.
Yes.
Yikes. Okay, and I'm assuming that's because of cost
Absolutely.
and personnel and all that?
Yeah, and finding people that could actually man it with the inspectors and everything. It's not just a couple people, it's
Right.
well beyond that.
Each precinct, each polling place will require 3 to 4 people, preferably 4 people. And we're finding out that they would require an extra tabulator and 2 extra voter assist terminals. And there just doesn't seem to be enough money being provided by the state to cover the costs of setting up each one. So this is a way for us to share the cost as opposed to each unit trying to staff their own.
And this will be in the
Assuming
Commission on
you
Aging
find
building,
people.
correct? That's where it will be, okay.
And this doesn't affect the day of voting.
Not at all.
The day of voting remains the same, your early voting, your in-mail balloting opportunities still exist.
No, it doesn't affect any of that.
So-
Okay.
Okay.
And we do appreciate the county willing to do this,
Yes.
because they don't have to do it, so we do really appreciate that.
And it's required that we have to do something.
Yeah.
You know, it's definitely,
Absolutely.
so
That was
we're,
part of that law. that-
yeah, it's definitely,
We either do it together or separately.
Yeah.
It costs a lot more money.
Very much appreciate the county stepping up to do it.
And while it would be painful for us, our neighbors in the townships that are running township governments and offices,
Yeah.
it would be near impossible for them. I mean, it really would. They just would not have the capabilities to do it, so it's better that we do it as a group, certainly.
I'm
And
sure it was
so,
a lot of work, so I appreciate that everybody was able to get together and do that, so
yep,
that benefits everyone, in my opinion.
Yes.
absolutely.
Thank you, Sarah.
So thank you for all your work, and I'm sure there'll be more to come on all the dates and all this other information you provided to us as things get firmed up a little more, so.
I'm trying to take you
Okay,
posted.
thank you. All right, any more questions or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor say yes.
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 Any opposed would be no. The motion is carried, and we are joining a group, so once again, go forth.
Thank you
No,
all
thank
very
you.
much. Very much appreciate your
This whole
support.
voting thing is a very heavy lift for you, so we do appreciate your dedication and diligence on all these items. So item 2 is to consider a resolution ratifying the investment of the following investments of the city funds. And it looks like we have 2 CDs and a CDR deposits from Independent and Mercantile Bank. Your pleasure on the money invested.
Move to adopt.
Support.
Motion support. Any comments or questions? Just for additional detail, there's 3 $250,000 deals, one at 12 months, 2 at 6 months, ranging from 4.73 to 4, or 4.5 to 4.85. So With that, all those in favor, please say yes.
Yes.
Any opposed, no. Motion is carried, and we've ratified the investments.
Additional.
Traffic control.
Oh, yes, thank you. So item 3, under their resolutions, we are to consider a resolution approving the traffic control order number 159 to place no parking signs on the south side of Iowa Street from Falkirk to Charles Avenue. Your pleasure.
Move to approve.
Support.
Motion support. Color?
I was done. This is the last thing that we need to install, and it cannot be done without this order from the commission. Hydrants are on the north side, so no parking. We'll go on that side, in front of along that road with the hydrants, so.
Okay, questions or comments? A question comes to mind. Did we have no parking on one side of that road before?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
and was it the same size?
It wasn't
No.
Leonard Day.
It was on the, previously it was on the other
It was
side.
the opposite side before.
Okay, so we're messing with people.
Not on purpose, we just.
Okay. All right, anybody else? Okay, with that, all those in favor, please say yes.
Yes.
Any opposed, no. Motion is carried, and we're going to have a new traffic control order. Moving down to reports of offices, boards, and committees. Commissioners may receive the following reports by one resolution, or any commissioner may remove any of the items within the section for individual discussion and vote. Before us tonight, we have a report from the Parks Committee of August 28, 2023, their draft minutes. The Elma Transit August 2023 ridership report. The August 2023 building and permits report. The Elma Police Department August 2023 report. The August 2023 finance report. The Elma DDA September 7th, 2023 draft meeting minutes, and the city manager's newsletter. Your pleasure on the reports.
Move to receive 1 through 6.
Support.
We have a motion support. Any additional comments or questions? Hearing none, those in favor, please say yes.
Yes.
Any opposed, no. The motion is carried, and we have received 6 of the reports.
Before we move on, point of order, I just noticed on the elections thing, our agenda calls for a roll call vote on that.
Our agenda calls for that.
Well, yeah,
the
the resolution says roll call vote.
That's on September 12th.
That was a sample resolution from me.
Okay, all right, I
It's
just,
not a requirement.
okay, I just want to get far and say, yeah, that will work. Okay.
If this
Never mind.
becomes the final copy, we will probably have to,
Leave that line out.
or we'll have to come back and actually take a roll call vote then, right?
It was not my understanding that a roll call vote was required.
Okay.
It required a certain percentage.
Cool.
Fair enough. Good catch, Roger. Thank
Never
you.
mind.
Okay, now I'm lost again. City manager's report.
Move to receive the city manager's newsletter. Support.
We have motion support. Eric.
Okay. First item, the Drinking Water State Revolving Loan Fund. I do have some bad news. We heard today, not thinking maybe we were going to hear at the public hearing, we did not receive funding for our application. We scored the maximum points that you could score for our size of community, income levels, all those sorts of things. We scored 80 points out of 100. Those that were funded to 85 and up, if I'm not correct, David? Yeah.
With the exception of one, St. Louis was at 85 and they did not get funded either.
So that kind of puts us in, it wasn't very pleasant around here this morning when we learned that news. We're still going to attend the public hearing, see if they'll take some comments with everything that we've been mandated to do across our system, and working with this group and the citizens of raising our rates to cover the amounts that it would take to get the loans. It's kind of disheartening because we're obviously, like we discussed, we're going to be raising rates again next year to get us within our 5-year plan of increases. We can apply again here next year, but that pushes us a year out, which also pushes some projects that were supposed to happen, i.e. one of them is the repainting of the water tower. That one, we're going to have to ask them for an extension on they basically have told us it's next year, correct, David? So we're going to have to ask for an extension on that with the caveat, well, we're raising our rates the best we can, but we need money up front, a reasonable type of money from an interest rate standpoint to make this work. This was at 2.5%. Right now, I believe the USDA, which will apply, but we won't apply for as many items here come for October. I believe they're close to 4% right now, which it doesn't sound like a lot, but it adds up very quickly. And what we've asked for increases in our rates, we'll have to back that off and see what we can get there to at least get some of those projects underway and reapply for the revolving loan fund for the next year. So, is there anything else, Dave, that I'm missing on that from today? Because this is a big one. This is important. We've been talking about it and working on this for a while. So,
I'm Dave Ringel, the Public Services Director. Eric put it mildly, it's like a gut punch for the city of Elmo. I'd like to thank the commission and the residents, first and foremost, because we are doing our due diligence, raising rates as required by the state of Michigan. We've submitted asset management plans that illustrate what we plan on doing with rate increases as a part of this, following our due diligence. I'm going to speak as frankly as I can on it. It's debilitating in the fact that we have requirements that we have to meet. And I believe the mayor has mentioned a number of those. We have the lead and copper mandates, we have the water tower. We keep getting these new mandates, but we don't have the funding. And if you recall back a year or so ago during the election time, we had a representative said that there's grants, you just have to apply for it. Yeah. If you remember me singling them out, saying, please show us, please tell us, because I keep seeing this money, but we're not getting it. And we're back to the drawing board looking at a few options. As Eric mentioned, looking at the USDA route. We have every intention of reapplying next year. We can't get any more than 80 points. We're stuck with our 80 points. We can't get any higher. The state of Michigan has told us the city of Elmo's maxed out with their points, so we can't even reach for 85. I hope I didn't give away the bank with our neighbors, but we found out our neighbors didn't get approved either, so I thought that was worth noting that St. Louis scored higher for whatever reasons, and they still didn't get it. They were the only city in the state of Michigan that ranked it at 85 and did not get approved. Don't know the criteria on how they did it. But what I can tell you is, initially it was told to all the municipalities to come up with a dream list of everything you could conceivably want for the next 5 to 10 years. Everybody was telling us this. We came up with a bare bones, this is what we've got to have, being very realistic. This is what our forecast looks like for 5 to 10 years. This is where we need to be. Hoping that that's where we're going to, this is a modest request, and we knew there was more asks than there was money available, and yeah, it's a very somber day in that. We were hoping that we would get better news next week. We found out today about it. We're looking at other options. Eric and I have discussed one potentially with the water tower. I don't want to say some of those options publicly just because we're working on a few of those options. Those will come forward in the near future here, but trying to get us where we need to be. I know that some communities, when they get bad reviews from the states or negative reports, that helps move them up. My intention is the city never falls behind on any of this, and I do not want bad reviews for failing infrastructure. I don't view that as an option. So my advice is, and my request is, we're talking, Curtis and I and Eric were talking about this morning, I'm at the point we need to start talking to legislatures. I need to find out what is it we have to do, because we have these ropes around our neck. I know when the elected officials were here a number of months ago, I talked to Mr. Molinar's office, a few of the other ones. I want to know what it's going to take to get this funding, because we're doing our due diligence. We're raising rates. Our residents are doing what we're asking to be done, and probably more than you wanted to know, but it's open to options, and we're going to keep looking at everything. So we know we're looking at this option for wastewater as well. So We didn't even try wastewater, that'll be next year. We're looking at other avenues for wastewater treatment, so, because this is so competitive. If there's any questions, I'll be glad to answer what I know of at this time. It just came hot off the press at about 9:30 this morning from what we gathered, so.
Thank you both.
Any questions? I guess one thought comes to mind. I think I asked you a couple weeks ago or something about just a pile-on once things are going bad. The new, I believe it's the new tank over at the water treatment plant off Mechanic seems to, I don't know, it's turning black.
Yeah.
It was white, and it's just odd that the brand new one, is that a problem? Do you know what's going on with that thing?
It's a problem in that it's aesthetics.
Yeah, it's not attractive to know that's where our water's coming from.
It's constructed differently, and that is the odd part. The newer tower looks older, so that is part of the term. It's kind of I'll just use it as odd. It's constructed different. It's not steel. The old one was steel and it's welded. This one is layers of concrete. If you're familiar with building a shotcrete, and there's series of rebar on there, and they spray it with shotcrete, and there's layers and layers and layers. And what you see are, if you're familiar with like old, campers, when they sit outside, you get the water stains down from the windows. Because that's concrete, it's got little pebbles that holds moisture, and besides the sun doesn't hit it on, things like that, it's basically mildew is what you see. So we can look at cleaning that off as a project for GAWA, because that's a GAWA expense, but there is no problems leaking. I want to make sure there's no leakages or anything like that. It's just aesthetics, and then it's mildew on the outside of that tank. It is, you're right, it's odd. It's the new one, and it looks the oldest. It's constructed differently.
Did we know that was going to happen with this type of construction? I mean, we can't be the first ones in the world that built a tank like this.
To be honest with you, I don't know. I was not a part of the discussions at that point. I don't know why it was. I'm guessing long-term, this rebar and concrete method was probably a better term option than steel, as opposed to rusting, painting, and things like that. But I'm purely speculating at this point, so.
Okay. It's just very concerning to look at, and apparently it's just aesthetics, but still isn't attractive.
No, and if you notice, I started doing it really within about a year.
Yeah, it's been going on for some time.
And because that was my first thought, is like, that's odd, it's the new one, and it just looks older because you see the grayish to it. It was a kind of an off-white white to begin with, but.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, then we can look at that as if that's something that Gal wants to look at for a washing method or anything like that. But
Yeah, I guess
that's
I'd like
something for a discussion.
Perhaps the GAWA committee, and Roxanne, I know you're still on that, correct? If you can maybe raise that topic there and see what the intention is from the GAWA board at this point.
I held out the agenda, we can put that out.
What is roughly the amount of the money that we did not get?
14 million.
14 million, yeah, that's nothing.
And we're looking at over $1 million just in the water treatment plant repainting. It's got enough layers on it now where it has to be stripped down and totally repainted, because you can only put so many layers on it. So
It's too heavy.
this is the expensive time. It has to be tarred, sandblasted, and repainted.
The water tower or the treatment plant?
Water tower.
Okay.
Not the tank you were referring to. I'm sorry.
Okay.
One over on Jerome Road for anybody that's.
Thank you to all the staff that worked on that.
Yeah, and like
It's a
I
lot of
said,
time.
we're trying to work on options because, like I said, we're not giving up. We're just, it's got to keep
Big chunk of change.
Thank you.
We held our special meeting with the DDA to talk about trees last Thursday. Just for information, I put in your packet again the study that MSU did for us. On the wall, we left those up so it's a laser see. That is all the trees in the study area, the downtown district area that we've been talking about this time. There's 62 of them along Superior from Pine to Prospect, and then State Street from Center Street to Superior Street. And then they are varying degrees of health. As you can see from the display there, that each one of those colors have a different health tied to them. We have that red is they've marked that as the trees that are the poorest in health, and those would be recommended that you remove those as soon as possible. But when you start looking at how to go about then replacing, as you can see, it's the red ones up there. They're not all together, they're not grouped right across the street from one another. So if you're looking at removal and trying to start to replace, and you want to replace so you get an aesthetic look also, some more thought has to be in, okay, remove the 6 that are bad, but then we have 26 from there that are classified as fair, and that's the orange color that you see there. So taking those, two categories together and looking at, we also talked about looking at the diameter of the tree as a determinant on a possibility of which ones to remove also. And as also part of our discussion, Jim Goodhall, our Public Works Superintendent, walked through some pros and cons of the trees that MSU recommended to us. Some of the trees, as the board learned through that, have more droppings or things that people have to maintain than trees we currently have. So we did provide a couple of different options that we felt were not as dirty. I don't want to use that. I don't hate to use that word, but I guess that's one way to just easily describe it, as dirty. And we came up, and the board was encouraged by that, with the Queen Elizabeth hedge maple and the European hornbeam, and then also to look at some more honey locust, and then look at those 3 species of trees and try and look at how those would be spaced in, how it currently is before we start removing things, and then bring back a plan of what that would look like, and then come up with a multi-year plan of removal, and then where those trees would go. So just wanted to put that in front of this board also, and if you had any thoughts or any concerns of the 2 species that we talked about in our meeting, and I don't think honey locusts are the evil tree. We just had them for 45 years, and that's what people associate with. This is the tree that causes all the mess. All trees cause a mess at some point or another during their life cycle throughout the year. One thing I did tell the commission, the DDA board, last Thursday, we do hear from folks about this downtown is a beautiful downtown, and one of them that I always hear about is Charlevoix. The tree that they have in downtown Charlevoix is the exact same tree we have down our downtown. They might be 5, maybe 10 years younger than ours, but they're very mature honey locust trees. And I never noticed that multiple times I visited until just recently when we've been talking about it. It's the exact same tree. So they're a good tree. It's, but maybe if we just mix it in with a couple of these other ones, if we space them out correctly, everybody likes the Christmas lights on the trees, so finding the right trees in the right places to put the lights on and those sort of things. And then look at removal over a multi-point year. I haven't come up with, Jim and I haven't sat down yet to come up with a couple scenarios for the DDA and for this board to review, but that is the next step.
It was a very informative meeting, and like Eric said, there is not one tree that meets all the criteria is the concern. They all have...
There would be a plastic tree.
Right. They all have their pluses. And I was very impressed with Mr. Goodhall's knowledge and presentation, and I feel confident that what he recommended, he knows firsthand what his staff needs to do and how to care for them and plowing. And I mean, there are so many factors that I don't think any of us are aware of when it comes to the trees. And they're beautiful, and I would like to keep trees. So I appreciate all the hard work and that knowledge, because I didn't, I mean, you look at a tree and you think, oh yeah, that's lovely, just put, I mean, and if you see my yard, I've just planted them wherever, and it's probably going to become a problem. But, so I have the utmost confidence in Mr. Goodhall and Eric taking care of our downtown.
Well, we'll be bringing them back to, a couple proposals back to both the DDA and to this board here. This board, I think, the final decision on how we would proceed. So but we just.
I think the biggest takeaway, I think, from that was that people were afraid that we're going to yank all of the trees out of there in one fell swoop. And we are looking at someplace in a 3 to 7 year amortization of the trees down there. That's still to be determined, but it's not going to happen before the end of the year or anything like that. So.
Eric's read the Lorax sign.
Yeah, yes, yeah, there was. I was informed with that. Next item, our ARPA funds. The parking lot project's wrapping up for the season. We still do have remaining in our ARPA funds it'll be around $230,000 remaining. Previously, when we talked about the spending of that, we said we're going to put it toward capital, something that we would see some benefit over a period of years. There's some few scenarios, if we wanted to keep looking at investing in, let's say, another parking lot. The lots that remain downtown, we have 3 left with their adjacent alleys, and that's Lot 1, which is behind the hardware. Lot 7 is back behind the Brave Howard block. And Lot 6 is back behind the Alma Sewing block there in their adjacent alleys. None of those parking and alleys would fit within that $230,000. So if you were to use that for another parking lot, there would have to be a general fund contribution to doing that, whichever project you would choose if you chose to go down and did another parking lot. Or we could look at an option is find a project or something that's within that $230,000 capital-wise that the commission would think would be important to get done, and we could look at using the dollars that way. We don't have to come up with that decision right now, but we thought we'd throw that out there since we're coming to the end of this construction season and start thinking about where to best. It sounds like a lot of money, but it really isn't anymore. Where to put those remaining ARPA dollars in whatever capital that the board feels is most appropriate. And just wanted to give some reminders on event dates. The high school homecoming, I apologize, it's not the Friday the 23rd, it's the Friday the 22nd. That's the parade prospect along Superior Street up to the school district on Pine. And then Alma College homecoming is the next Saturday on September 30th. And that will be at 11 a.m. in the morning on that Saturday. And they've changed their starting point of that. It's last 2 years we've been starting at State Street and then going to Charles Avenue. So that'll be a little different this year too. So just want to put that out for you. And then the library, Lori provided a flyer for some of the things that are happening at the library for your information also. And then on our agenda tonight, I'd like to go into executive session and do my annual review. And under new business, that was going to be number 2, but for everyone that's here in attendance, maybe we can move the other 2 added agenda items, 3 and 4, move those up. Take care of that. Take care of commissioner comments, public comment. And then we could adjourn into executive session, then come out and finish the meeting, and people are welcome to stay, but at least get everybody that needs to say or wants to say something done first, so you don't have to stick around for however long we're in executive session. So that's it for me.
Okay, thank you. Additional questions or comments for Eric on his presentation? With that, and I do like the suggestion that we take care of all the new business items before we go into, so we'll move what's currently item number 2 down to item number 4, move the others up so that with the anticipation and the announcement that we will not take any official action other than to adjourn once we come out of the closed session, as we typically have done, so that for the convenience of our guests, they don't sit around waiting for us for whatever time we may take in there and
big reveal.
Come out and do nothing anyway, so. Okay, so we got a motion on the table to accept the report. Any additional comments or questions? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say yes.
Yes.
Any opposed, no. Motion is carried, and we've received the city manager's newsletter. Now, we'll move on to our new business, item 1, which is a presentation from our Healthy Pine River Group regarding their efforts, their multi-year efforts, perhaps multi-decade efforts to improve the health and well-being of our local river. The Pine, for those who don't know. Welcome.
Thank you. I'm Chuck Sandra. I'm one of the board members for the Healthy Pine River. We have a 10-member board currently and well over 300 members, annual dues paying members. And I hope that the packet that Sarah allowed me to put in the agenda was informative for you and gave you some sense of what we're about. So we appreciate that. Thank you. What I want to talk about today is really a commitment by Healthy Pine River to what we call move to the next level. We've been a totally voluntary organization for since 2015. We have been involved in funding water testing for many years and a variety of other things such as septic services in our rural communities. What we found though is appreciative and pleased with those efforts. We are not seeing changes in the river for the positive. The river has continued to be highly contaminated, and the impoundment area in both Alma and St. Louis have continued to see degradation over the past few years to the point where it's created a concern, and we've worked with both the City of Alma and the City of St. Louis in sharing some ideas. So I'm here really tonight to talk about that and to share with you what we hope to do in moving forward. One of the things that we're trying to do is to create an outreach program. And just share a quick story with you. We had Dr. Ben Peterson of Alma College public policy class. He had two classes actually. We asked him to do a social survey of the residents on or near the impoundment, the Alma impoundment, to get some kind of sense of both feedback and what people were thinking in regards to the condition of the impoundment, the river, etc. They did that for us, and their conclusion, they had 8 groups studying this, talking to residents, talking to some business owners as well. And they came back to us and presented to the Healthy Pine River with 2 very distinct findings. The first was that people in general knew there was something wrong with the river. The second finding was people did not know what it was, though, what the causes were, etc. So our conclusion from that is that we've done a good job of informing and educating our membership. We have monthly meetings, we have speakers, both from Eagle and a variety of other areas that come in and educate us and inform us. What we've done a poor job of is informing our community. And I apologize on behalf of Healthy Pine River for that. I think the social surveying that Dr. Peterson did has really helped us a great deal. We have, it's important for you to know that we have applied and received a grant from the foundation, Gratiot County Community Foundation, which we're very appreciative of. In fact, we've applied for 4 grants. We've received 2. One we did not receive from Eagle, one we did receive from Eagle, and we're waiting on a 4th grant right now. And the reason for that is to put resources into the work that we're doing. And that's why the handout that I placed at your chairs tonight is so important to us. We have, under the current Healthy Pine River priorities, we have done a number of things, continued to do and fund. But also in July of this summer, we acted upon a series of recommendations and are trying to take our efforts to a different level. And that level means more engagement. It means probably some paid personnel or part-time director. We have already received assistance from the college. We do have a full-time volunteer, and we have 2 interns doing research for us right now from the college. So we really believe that we're moving in the right direction. And I want to talk a little bit about the impoundment. Here's our hope. what we'd like to do is to continue to, in this fall, the social surveying that we've done with residents and to formalize that. And then to take that information along with the research that we're doing on the impoundment, and the research is designed around the relationship between the dam, the impoundment waters, and the brownfield sites that are adjacent to the impoundment. What is that relationship? What is the cause effect of the continued degradation of the impoundment? And then the second thing we hope to do is to research the water. We're going to test the water. We have already done that actually. Sediment levels, what's in the sediment, what we call sediment characterization, etc. And bring that information forward so that we can have some substantive community conversations about the state of the impoundment and the state of the river, and what are some viable options that we might have to improve that. We think that, frankly, it's very important because we know that those folks who want to recreate on the river, those folks who own homes or property on the river, the aesthetic appeal is declined. There's some talk about home ownership value declining. It's certainly not where we want to be. So we're asking the county commissioners, the city of Alma, and the city of St. Louis to consider providing us with a small portion of municipal funds to help us move forward in paying for the testing, the research, and then coming back and sharing with you a plan that has viable options as to what to do to improve the impoundment, the river, and that is just one priority for us right now. That's one grant that we're working on. The need is terrific, and so our focus right now is to look at the dam and impoundment, to look at educating our public through an outreach program, and you'll see on the second page the recommendations acted upon and adopted. We have established a farm engagement model and committee that has been a part of our past. We hope to develop a new annual revenue fund because of the moves that we're making, and that's why I'm here to talk to you about municipal support. We've recently adopted the LEAPS environmental program from Alma College to become a part of the Healthy Pine River program, and we're actively working with them, which is exciting. The HPR members in the audience, including Les, none of us are spring chickens. And there's going to come a time when we've got to step aside and pass on the responsibility of caretaking for our waterways to a younger generation. So we think the move to Alma College has been a great move for us. And we've also expanded our board to include Gratiot Conservation District, which is a good representation for our farm community. Triterra, which is a local environmental group that is also a nationwide group that helps us. Alma College, who's consistently done the water testing over decades, and a representative of our farm community. So we're trying to pull that expertise in from those areas. We're volunteers. We are not experts. I'm an old social studies teacher and superintendent retired, and we love what we're doing, but we need more help. So my request to the city is simply to consider providing a small portion of money. We know that you're not wealthy. I've also spoke to the St. Louis city manager and mayor, and obviously we met with the Gratiot County commissioners. That's our request, and we hope that maybe there are funds that would help us, but regardless, we're going to go forward with the priorities that are in front of you. And we're taking what we do very seriously. And I will share with you that the water testing this summer has been interesting. We asked Dr. Broad and his interns, students, to test all the way from the Pine River headwaters all the way down to below St. Louis, and to test all the feeder streams, including Honeyway Creek, Horse Creek, Sugar Creek, and to test the impoundments. He has done all that. The reason for our starting at the headwaters and coming all the way down is we want to locate by intervals, is there certain sections of the river that are more polluted than others? Are there areas that maybe we can address and see if we can make a difference there? But that's the purpose of the testing. Dr. Brill and his students will be talking with us Thursday night at our Healthy Pine River meeting, which is in room 104 of Elma College Swanson Academic Center. And we're excited about that, but we already know the news. He shared that with us, and it's not good. The degradation continues, the contamination levels continue to be higher in some areas, and the contamination exists all the way from the headwaters, which is hard to believe, all the way down through St. Louis. So we have a lot of work to do, and I would say that, to my knowledge, we are the only organization that's focusing on trying to help the river, trying to restore the health to the river. And I guess my final two comments would be this: if not now, when will we do it? And if not us or we, then who's going to do it? And I read a comment in your packet that our children and our children's children deserve a better circumstance. So let's continue to be diligent about that. I appreciate you hearing us, and I would certainly answer any questions or comments that you might have.
Anybody have questions?
Chuck, I have two, just quick questions. What is the headwater of the Pine River? Where is it?
It's in Mecosta County. The water actually comes out of the ground and actually funnels both to the Pine River and to the Chippewa River. They're very close.
Okay.
So it's not like a hay marsh or a small lake. It's kind of unusual.
Okay.
It starts very small,
Okay.
and then grows.
Okay, thank you. Second is, I often hear people saying, well, why don't we just get rid of the dams? Why don't we just get rid of the dams?
Well, that's, in all honesty, we've heard that too. And I've had conversations about that. I think before we look at that, I think we have to understand the relationship between the dam and the impoundment.
I guess that was my question. What happened if we get rid of the dams? Is more like...
Well, there are a variety of things. One, we obviously would be concerned about sediment movement downstream. St. Louis would be concerned about that. The good news, and the DNR did this several years ago, they asked the state of Michigan, the communities in the state who have non-functioning dams, to consider removing them for fish habitat, fish migration, etc., restoring the river or tributaries to their natural paths. I think that's important, but I think we don't have enough knowledge yet to really say what's best. We'll tell you that we did a bathymetry study in 2017, but with Bar Engineering out of Ann Arbor. And a bathymetry study is studying the depth of the sediment, the depth of the water, the surface water to the sediment. And we found that the sediment in the impoundment hovers between 8 feet and 2 feet, depending on space. If you've been out on the impoundment at all, you know that it's heavy in algal blooms, algal mats, as well as a lot of vegetation. There's a eutrophication process going on there. And it means the water's warming because it's shallow, you get more plant growth, and then when they die, as the weather turns, it just becomes more silt on the bottom, more sediment on the bottom. So, Roger, the whole purpose of this grant with the foundation is really to study and come up with those options. And I would just share this caveat. When we did the bathymetry study, Elma College, we determined the amount of cubic yards of sediment that would have to be removed to restore the impoundment. The cost at that time, in 2018, was $23 million. So, is that a viable option? I don't know.
Not for us.
I've got a clue.
I will share with you that Williamson did an interesting thing years ago. They lowered the waters, dredged, and instead of taking the sediment out, they actually created an island, capped the island with green foliage, green space, and then created a channel on one side that was designed to be rapid water for fish habitat. And on the other side, they created a slower stream for canoeing, kayaking, fishing, etc. Lynn and I visited the Williamston site. We've also visited Eden Rapids site, which did the same thing without the island. Their impoundment wasn't big enough to create an island, but we've seen their site, same kind of channel ideas. The neat thing is that people didn't lose water frontage. I have property on the river and I have property on Honeyway Creek. They constructed these channels in such a manner that you maintained your water frontage and probably was a little bit higher quality than what you're seeing as water frontage right now. So,
Hadn't thought of that.
anything else?
Thank you, Jeff.
Other questions or comments? Thank you, and just full disclosure, I've been a dues paying, I believe, I paid my dues, Gary, but for a number of years, and
If you didn't, I would have published it.
I appreciate that. But I personally am very supportive of the work, very impressed with the work that you guys are doing, and thankful and grateful to everything you're doing. It is an extremely important asset for our community and for our neighbors in St. Louis and up and down the whole watershed. It's very important that we address this. And
We've tied
do
a study
appreciate
I will share with you to the Brownfield property next door or adjacent to the impoundment too. And I will tell you, one of the Greater Gratiot Development Authorities has shared that until something happens with the impoundment that's healthy and positive, that property will not be developed. And that's sad because that's a great location for whether it be business or residential, but being 2 blocks from our downtown area is really prime.
Yeah.
Lynn and I would vote for condominiums because within walking distance, but that's beside. Please consider some funding support and thank you for your time. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Okay, did we get a motion to receive that report? We did not. Okay, so we'll entertain a motion to receive the report. Mr. Sandro?
Support.
Okay, motion support. Last chance for comments or questions. Hearing none. All those in favor, please say yes.
Yes.
Any opposed, no. Motion is carried and we received it once again. Thank you. Next up is, we're going to skip the item from what was item 2, we'll go down to the first one, which is to establish a committee to review the blatant enforcement issues and then hopefully make recommendations back to this body. My thinking on this is to engage some members of the public that have come before us, such as Les and others, that help us to identify things and maybe help us to find some creative solutions as we talk through these things and look at the way we're doing things. Hopefully bring in some fresh blood and some fresh ideas. We don't need to appoint people at this point, but I would like to put it out there if there's members of the public that would like to join in this effort, it would be appreciated. And as my fellow commissioners, if any of you were interested and willing to serve on this capacity or on this committee, please give it some thought, let me know, and hopefully next 2 weeks from now we'll have some names we can put together and maybe get things rolling. So I don't know, do we need a resolution? I didn't look at do we need a motion for this?
We
to establish it?
do a resolution
We do, okay.
to establish.
So with that, I would like it if somebody would make a motion to establish this body.
I would make a motion to establish this body.
Okay, we have a motion support. Anybody have any comments or questions you'd like to add?
I have a question.
You have a question?
What would you like to call this body?
What would you like to call this body?
You get the name.
Well, I wrote down the committee to review blatant enforcement issues, so.
There it is.
Blight Enforcement Committee.
Code Enforcement Advisory, that sounds much more official. Thank you.
Ooh,
Thank you, City Manager.
Code enforcement.
Is that agreeable to everyone?
Yes.
Okay, that
It's
sounds nice. Okay. So with that, all those in favor, please say yes.
Yes.
Any opposed, no. The motion is carried and we have a new committee. And then the next item, and I don't believe, because I don't think it's codified anywhere, that we need to make a motion for discontinuing the presence of our city attorney. As everyone knows, we appoint a city attorney as our official attorney of record. And in the past, we've, for the last 20 years I've been here, we've always had that person or a representative of the firm attend our meetings. That is a paid position. Obviously we're paying an attorney fees to sit here with us. I think those resources, since we are limited on our resources, I think we can use them better in other ways, and particularly to address these blight issues as they become legal matters. So the few hours that we're paying him to be here, him or her to be here, could be better spent doing something more productive along those lines. So is there any other thoughts that anybody'd like to share? Again, I don't think there's any action necessary on that one, but I just want to make sure everybody's on board with us making such a move.
Especially when he usually has to say, I have to check into that to be sure, kind of thing. So it's not like we get definitive answers when he's here. He still has to check it out to give us definitive answers. So I agree. I see it as not money well spent.
Yeah, rarely if ever do we need an answer that night, and rarely if ever would I want an answer that's not researched and well thought out. So
I think we definitely need to leave it open to maybe Eric's discretion in terms of, hey, there's an issue that I think it would be beneficial for us to have an attorney, not for an answer, but maybe, hey, these are questions that I want answers to. And sometimes, after the meeting, it's hard to verbatim spit out the question that you had, but I'd like to leave it up to Eric in terms of, hey, I think that we would need one in this type of a scenario, and then maybe he reaches out to you or something like that for verification.
And great point. I think well taken. There will be circumstances where, in the recent past, we've had issues that we wanted an attorney present for certain things. Those will probably appear again, and certainly we can do that as appropriate. So, okay. So if there's no further discussion on that, we can move forward along those lines. And then the last item is now what was originally item 2, the request to conduct a periodic evaluation of an employee in closed session.
Want to do comments and stuff first?
Oh, yeah, we should. Sorry about yes. So next would be appropriations. We'll do that. Is there any interest in paying the bills?
Move to pay the bills.
Support.
Okay, motion support. Are there any comments or questions on those bills? No numbers tonight? Okay, all those in favor, please say yes.
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 Any opposed would be no. The motion is carried and the bills can be paid. Commissioner comments. So next up, Roxanne, would you like to go first tonight?
I don't have anything tonight, thank you.
Okay, quickly we'll move to Danny.
Just good seeing you back, Dave, and glad your wife's doing well.
Thank you very much.
Okay, Roger.
I don't think I have anything either.
Lori.
Congratulations to the Pine River Arts Council for their Lucky McDuck this weekend. I think
Oh, yeah, I
well.
should have.
I was kind of like going,
I'm like, I got you.
Take my thunder. All right.
You can tell a lot of people worked hard and did a good job, and it was a fun day.
Preliminary money on that was a very good weekend for us. The weather certainly cooperated.
Yeah.
And nice crowd.
A nice crowd.
Nice crowd. Good food. Michelle.
no comment.
Drew.
Yeah, just to echo, I went down and it was a fantastic event at Lucky McDuck, and thank you to everybody involved with that. That's it.
Sarah. Eric. Any more?
What's up?
Okay, I'd certainly like to thank Les and Chuck, everybody from the Pine River Group. Thank you for the presentations tonight, appreciate that. Downtown's looking good. The parking lots are coming back together. The couple of them we tore apart. That's really good news. The alley, the pocket park between the Strand and the Arts Center, it looks like it's about half the concrete is in on that one, so that's looking good. Real progress there. It's nice to see. So congratulations to everybody and all the hard work on that. Disappointed that the state did not see fit to provide some funding to us for all the mandates that they're shoving down our throats once again. But it is what it is, and we'll find a way through it, so.
Greg, I'm sorry, I meant to mention, our condolences go out to Joni from Tom Billig's, who was a business owner for over 40 years in downtown Alma.
Yes.
It's a great loss for our community.
Absolutely. To Eugene and the family, very tough, and I had the pleasure of working with Joni for many, many years in downtown Alma. Just a great individual, a great supporter. She was so active in the chamber and many other things over the years, doing fashion shows and all kinds of fun things that used to happen. And she will certainly be missed, as well as not to mention the fact that she just ran a terrific store downtown and was a real great personality, always smiling and happy down there. She certainly will be missed. So thank you for that, Michelle.
I had a question about the parking lot. Are there plans for charging stations in the new parking? Okay.
There's a conduit going in, but are we putting actual stations in?
No, we're not stations in yet.
Not yet,
If
but
you-
there is provisions.
Yep, if you look in the islands, you'll see these green boxes. That's the conduit that those charging stations will sit.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Which I guess, and that strikes I've been reading, trying to educate myself a little bit on those electric cars, and apparently there's 3 different levels of charging. And do you know, Dave, what level is like a level 1, that charging station we did put in the lot behind? That's a 2. So that's probably a fairly, I think that one's like a moderately fast.
Yes. Dave Ringel, Public Services Director. If you remember correctly, or accurately, the Consumers Energy helped out with a grant for that, and that was part of getting the grant, was they wanted above the base level charging station. So it's not the high-speed Tesla one, because that's pretty niche, but yes, level 2 charging station. It's I haven't personally used it, but it's supposed to be a pretty good, moderately charged one, so.
And does
Not the
that,
slowest, not the fastest.
do we charge, or is there a cost for someone to use that? Is it
Currently,
accept cards, or
I'm sorry?
does it take cards?
Yes.
Debit cards, credit cards?
Debit, credit, and if you look at the machine, it's pretty easy to use. And there's an app that you download, so if you don't have it, read what it needs, and once you download the app, put your credit card or whatever your method of payment is, it charges to it, so.
Okay.
It's like a
Do we
fancy
have any
parking meter.
usage figures on that? Do we get anything? I mean,
We can establish and set those. So one of the questions, it comes back to like maintenance and things of that nature. Right now it's base level, but that is a conversation that can be had as far as changing the cost, because we own it, we can control how much it costs to use.
So do we have a service contract with somebody to maintain the thing, or how does that work? I forget.
Yes,
You probably
it's
talked about it.
Siemens is the company that does the maintenance on it, and no, we do not have a service contract, but it's proprietary because it's theirs, so you can only deal with Siemens to have it done, so like, unfortunately, anything else, but.
Yeah, as I spoke of once before at this meeting, the one behind the main cafe there, more often than not, there are non-electric vehicles that are taking up those parking spaces there. You couldn't get in one with your Tesla because there's 4 great big trucks in there usually.
Maybe a topic for a committee that somebody might be establishing.
Could be.
We do have signage.
Yes,
We
there's
do have
signage
signage
for it.
there now, so.
Roger pointed that out, I believe, 2 years ago, and we installed signage. If you look at it for the public, anybody's got an electric vehicle, it looks like 2 charging stations, but there's room for 4. So that's why there's 4 parking spots, 2 on each side of the island, so they can service that. These very unfortunate people do park there, but it is signed for that.
Is there a reason our police force isn't ticketing?
They're extremely busy.
Yeah, I haven't gotten really, I have not received, at least from my office, no one's called me and said, Mr. Ripley, we can't get to the charger. I've never had that happen. The size of the length of the court, if you go back and take a look at it, you can park. It's not just, we have 2 spaces signed for electric vehicles only, but you can actually park on the other side too and use the charging station. So there's 4 locations you could plug in.
And I don't think it is any kind of a real infraction. It's not like parking in a handicap space, I don't think.
We have not.
Perhaps it should be.
We have not.
It can be.
We have not created an ordinance to, for.
But we have not received complaints, correct?
I have not received one. I don't, Dave's never mentioned
Excuse me, I haven't personally. I don't know if people are just going to the consumers one because it's free. Last time it was free to charge, but to my knowledge, no one's ever called and said they couldn't get into that spot. So that's all I can say for it. So.
Okay.
at least for now. I mean, once it gets more popular.
Right.
It's going to. I
Yes,
mean,
it's going to.
The automakers have made a solid commitment, it seems, moving that direction, so.
Or, yeah, hybrids, for sure, it's definitely gonna be at some point in the future, so. I'd like to install one here on the city property in the building, but vehicles haven't come onto my contract deal yet, but that was something I look forward to for some of our public works vehicles, if we could start to plug them in. But those chargers are expensive, so that grant with consumers, by the way, was very beneficial, so very nice to install those.
Okay, thank you. So with that, enough comments from us. We'll open it up to members of the public. If anyone would like to address the commission, please go to the podium, state your name and address, and we'll give you up to 5 minutes per person to address the commission and share your thoughts.
I just need 30 seconds.
You know the drill. You've been here before, I'm sure.
I serve, probably somewhat reluctantly, as a board member of an association where I bought property down south. And I have found out that you can actually do business remotely, through Zoom, through email, through whatever. And I would be very interested in this committee, even though I'm not here 6 months, roughly just under shy of 6 months of the year, I think I've got a lot of material. I know Chuck could probably attest to the fact that I have a lot of material. And I think a lot of it would be helpful into where, you wouldn't have to have somebody going out and relooking at things over and over and over again, because I got 2 years of code enforcement, and I've got probably 3 years that I did the parks. So, and a lot of that hasn't gotten better either. So, but I would be willing to serve on that committee. I just, you know how to get a hold of me.
Terrific. We appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else care to address the commission tonight? Okay, seeing no one else step forward, we can now move on to what was item 3, which is the request to conduct a peer evaluation of an employee. And for that, we need to enter into closed session at the employee's request for the evaluation, which is permitted under Section 8A of the Open Meetings Act of the MCL 15.268. And as I stated before, for the benefit of anybody that might want to stick around and see if we're going to do anything afterwards, we will not take any official action other than to adjourn after we come out of that closed session. So we won't be doing anything, you won't be missing anything if you leave now. So with that, we'll entertain a motion to go into closed session.
So moved.
I have motion support. We need a roll call vote, I believe. Nope, that's fine. Thank you all for coming. Have a great evening.
Thank you.
Be safe.
Commissioner Arlen?
Yes.
Commissioner Barron?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Harrington?
Yes.
Commissioner Harrison? Yes. Commissioner Fitz? Yes. Commissioner Morton?
Yes.
Mayor Mapes?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. We'll move in the other room then. Thank you.
Support.
Have support. Any last chance for comments, questions? Hearing none, all those in favor say yes.
Yes.
Any opposed, no. Motion is carried. We are adjourned.
Awesome.
Yay! Happy New Year.
Support.
Have support. Any last chance for comments, questions? Hearing none, all those in favor say yes.
Yes.
Any opposed, no. Motion is carried. We are adjourned.
Awesome.
Yay!